TD Ryan Unleashed is brought to you by Scott Diamond, your State Farm insurance agent in DeKalb. Call 815-748-3101 or stop by at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D in DeKalb. Like a good neighbor, Scott Diamond and State Farm are there. Pizza Villa, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, and more at 824 West Lincoln Highway in DeKalb. Don't forget Kids Eat for Free on Thursday. For delivery or pickup, go to pizzavilla.com or call 815-758-8116. Elder Care Services of DeKalb. Safe, secure, and supported, helping you stay in home where you want to be. Call 815-758-6550 or stop in at 1701 East Lincoln Highway in DeKalb or on the web at ecsdekalb.org. My Insurance Guy in Sycamore covers Medicare to auto care and everything in between. Stop by at 204 South Main Street in Sycamore. Call 815-899-0950 or online at myinsuranceguy.com. Welcome into TD Ryan Unleashed News Podcast number 29, a very historic podcast as we finish up the year. And I know Dan Lynch, the oak tree of the news department, joining us. And Dan, it's been quite an adventure. February 23rd, 2025 will be a day you and I remember. It was a Friday, and they came in and told us we're all done at WLBK. And, I hated that term pivot when the COVID was going on. But indeed, we were forced to pivot, were we not, sir? And it worked out pretty good for us.
Yeah, I mean, that's how jobs are, and sometimes you get bounced, laid off. Wasn't the first time for me. And you have to adjust.
And we were able to do that. I want to thank all the people that have allowed us to do this podcast. Again, this is our news podcast number 29. I want to thank all our wonderful sponsors, Scott Diamond, My Insurance Guy in Sycamore, also Pizza Villa.
Your headphones.
And Elder Care Services. And as I was getting feedback, and Dan pointed out that I had the headphones in. Well, I'm going to go through the stories that they had in the Daily Chronicle top 10 stories for the year, just kind of touch on those. And you have some news stories. But the first one is one that we've talked endlessly on this show about, and that is the new data center, or data center, however you care to pronounce it. Again, the data center boom sparks regional debate over the growth, taxes, and energy cost. And while local officials often frame the project as a once-in-a-generation revenue opportunity, residents across multiple communities raise concerns for their scale, transparency, environmental impact, and rising utility. But what's interesting, Dan, is in Yorkville, I don't know if you've heard about this, they've approved a massive data center, larger than Central Park in New York. Now, you know Yorkville. Can you picture that, an area that big, where they're going to put this data center?
Larger than Central Park?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a massive
I've been in New York. Yeah, I've been in Central Park. So, that's going to be it. So that'll be located near Route 47 and Galena Road, which will include 14 two-story warehouse buildings. But then on another issue nearby us, in contrast, Joliet has put a project on hold indefinitely, illustrating how community opposition and unresolved questions can stall even high-profit developments. Residents raised alarms about the same thing: power outages, water demands, and overall footprint on the project, prompting city officials to pause the plan rather than push it forward amid uncertainty. And that's why I really thought, being at watching the chamber meeting on YouTube, that they would at least pause it. A couple of people asked them to wait on this vote and maybe get some more information and then do the vote. But they let people talk for about 2 hours, and then they just rammed it right through.
Yeah, they're about striking while the iron is hot.
Yeah. And I can see all the financial benefits. A lot of people spoke about the financial benefits. A lot of people who are going to benefit by building this also spoke. But I know it's probably reality is going to happen. It's just that I thought they could give the general public more of feel like their input meant anything, because all these people spoke and then they immediately voted the way they were going to vote. But it was a unanimous vote. But it's interesting to see that Joliet is going against theirs, and Yorkville's building a huge one.
Yeah.
The size of Central Park, you just can't even.
Well, it's hard to turn down that money because to run a city, it's real expensive.
Yeah.
All these employees. You have to pay them all. They get nice benefits. And then the school district, they kind of take a lot of the tax money.
Right.
They just...
Yeah, there's no arguing the financial benefits of it, too. I was just a little disappointed in how that particular meeting was run and how they kind of like rubbing their hands together when it was all done. And then they voted the vote and then waived the second reading. And I thought that...
Yeah, and it could be an asphalt plant. You ever lived next to an asphalt plant?
No, it could be a lot worse, if people were pointing it out. And it could have been another distribution center. We'd have a lot more trucks going. At least there's no truck traffic here with this. So there are positives in that regard, And then what people were worried about, the water, and I know the one that we have, the first data center we built here, is water-cooled, which they're allowed up to 200,000 gallons of water a day, which I have trouble even picturing that much water. But I knew this new data center will have, it'll be gas cooled, so it won't be a big water draw. But the energy cost, too, that's going to be, but it is what it is.
You have to be fiscally responsible, which I don't doubt that the local officials here are fiscally responsible when you compare them to the people at the state of Illinois and the federal government.
Yeah.
There's a lot of waste.
Well, you've been watching Harvey at all? Harvey, Illinois, where they had that crazy lady in charge of the whole thing, and then they finally got her out of there. But they're in all kinds of financial trade, lay off firemen, and they're a real mess over there.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, police and fire, that's the most important.
yeah. The
That's
last
the-
people you want to lay off. All right, what do you got there, my friend?
Okay, a Rockford woman with an out-of-state warrant was arrested after a traffic stop in DeKalb County. According to the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office, on December 27th at 1 a.m., deputies pulled over a car for running a stop sign at the intersection of Glidden and Bethany. Authorities say the driver, 22-year-old Raina Bradley, had no valid driver's license, and she had a warrant out for her arrest in New Orleans, Louisiana,
Oh, my.
for motor vehicle theft. Bradley is being held at DeKalb County Jail.
So no license and an outstanding warrant for Grand Theft Auto in Louisiana.
And she decided to run a stop sign.
Wow. And that's why we have those people in prison. Now, story number 2, according to the Chronicle again, was a No Kings protest mobilized thousands across Northern Illinois from cities to small towns. And you and I talked about this on the show, and I know America, we're all about protesting. I don't know how much it actually accomplishes in this regard, but it's nice to see people stepping up and, showing their democratic principles and out there. Ultimately, the No Kings protest stood out as a defining regional story for 2025, not only for their scale, but also for the sustained commitment of Northern Illinois residents to publicly demonstrate and political engagement. So that is America in action there, kind of like that. But I don't know what the protest is really going to do.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess I hate to use this word. They want to build awareness.
Yes. Okay, and we're have a little technical difficulty there, but Dan and I were talking about, well, let's move on to the next. What's the next story?
Well,
Go ahead.
was it Elon Musk that they were implying was a king? Or
No,
was
it was
President Trump?
the Trumpster.
Okay, got it. All right. An Aurora man was arrested after entering a home in Waterman. According to the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office, deputies were called to the 600 block of Garfield Street. This was just before 8 a.m. on December 27th. Authorities say 37-year-old Ishmael Ponce Blas entered the home uninvited and began filming the victim while the victim was sleeping. Ishmael is now charged with 2 counts of domestic battery and felony criminal trespass.
No, wait, was he related to this person?
Nobody knew the person,
Okay, but he goes in and he starts filming the person while they're sleeping.
which probably was very startling.
Yes, needless to say. But what's the charge, though? I find that domestic violence?
2 counts of domestic battery
Domestic battery. Okay.
and felony criminal trespass.
Really? Okay. Wow.
Entering the home. Yep.
Yeah, the domestic violence, we talked to our friends from St. Passage and just the extremes that some people will go to. I guess that thought that if I can't have you, nobody can have you. And so often we see that. Just, boy, it's scary stuff. On a more positive note, you being a good Catholic that you are, Dan, you're excited. I guess I didn't really fully appreciate this, the fact that we have a pope, not only from America, the first one in 2,000 years that's from America, but from the south side of Chicago.
Southsider.
No
Yeah.
less. How about that? Pope Leo, age 69 now, formerly Cardinal Francis Robert Prevost.
I never thought I'd seen an American pope. I mean, did you?
No, I never did. I thought it would just never happen. I mean, that it would just not even a thing,
Because Rome is a diocese, sort of like Rockford is a diocese, or Joliet or Chicago. So generally, you have an Italian in the Rome, diocese. But Pope John Paul II was from Poland. So
We had a Polish pope,
that
yeah.
was a big deal.
Yeah.
But an American pope, I couldn't believe. I'm still shocked.
I know. Like I said, it hasn't really set in for me. And then, of course, another famous Chicagoan, Reverend Ronald Hicks, is going to be named by the Pope, or back on December 18th, for the leader of the Archdiocese of New York. And you talk about diocese, a pretty big diocese right there. Wow.
Yeah, and he's got big shoes to fill because Dolan, who's in New York now, People like him. I mean, he's very personable.
Uh-huh.
He's always on the Today. He'd always be on the Today Show. I mean, he made the rounds.
Yeah, when I was at Queen of All Saints, we had a Monsignor Dolan that was there. Maybe related. I don't know how that works. Wouldn't be related if he was a priest, right? It wouldn't necessarily be a son or something.
Well,
but-
Dolan was Irish, and he was very relatable. And he said, I like beer and real potatoes, not powdered potatoes.
Well, I played a thing for Becky, and you can look it up on YouTube, too. There was a young man who asked Pope Francis, he's my favorite pope. His father never became a Catholic, but he had 3 boys, and all 3 boys confirmed. And the young man was crying because his father had died, went and asked the Pope if his dad was going to go to heaven because he never got baptized. And you'd have to watch the whole thing, but the Pope really explains it to him that God would never do that. God loves his children, and that God realized that your father was a good man because he made sure that you guys were all baptized, and explained to the kid that his dad was in heaven. And it's just beautiful. The kid's crying, people are crying. It's just he answered the question so well in terms of just because his dad never got baptized, he took the effort to get all 3, him and his 2 brothers, baptized, and just a beautiful story.
Yeah, and we don't know. I mean, we don't know who's in heaven and who's not in heaven. I think if you reject God, you're probably not going to heaven.
Well, I tell you, my argument is always, what about the people that are middle of Africa that have no concept of religion or God or Jesus? I mean, are they going to be punished because they didn't know? I mean, they never.
Right.
So, again, it's a wide open question. We'll do that for another show. And Texas National Guard will come to Will County. ICE activists in Northern Ireland. We can skip that one, too. What do you got for another news story?
Local state senator Sue Rezin, she's pushing legislation designed to protect minors in the digital world. The Republican says she's been working with a Democratic colleague on one bill aimed at adding safeguards against artificial intelligence. Rezin says as AI evolves, protections from so-called chatbots are needed. Now, chatbots are computer programs that simulate human conversations. And she's also pushing legislation aimed at protecting children from social media algorithms that she says are designed to get them addicted to online platforms. The spring legislative session in Springfield is expected to begin January 13th, and she represents the 38th District for State Senate, and she has an office in South 4th in DeKalb.
Yeah, we were just talking about this on the Suicide Prevention Show. There was a story of a young man who was contemplating suicide, and the chat bots, whatever you call it, eventually try to get him the help that he needed. But then near the end, the bot says, well, if you really are committed to doing this, here's the best way to do this. It went on to explain to this young man how to commit suicide, and a bridge that was near his house actually guided him to the place where he could go to commit suicide. Can you believe that? Because the chatbot just took it over and thought, well, but if you really want to do this, here's how you're going to do it. And the parents are suing, I don't know who they're suing, Microsoft or whoever that would be, but just a tragic story. And to hear about how it unfolded like that, where the kid had no friends, so the robot, the internet became his friend, and when he ultimately came up with the idea to take his life, helped him do it. It's just unbelievable. So, what a slippery slope. Every time Dan and I, we did the show a few months ago, and I was saying this should be the best time ever in America. We have all these luxuries, all these time. We have this stuff in our hand that we can do, and yet you hear these awful, awful stories. Just I guess any time period in our world is going to be like that. Because why aren't we enjoying all the benefits that we have? We got wars going on. It's crazy. Here's an interesting one. A Whiteside County jury, I missed this one, awarded $31 million to the widow and daughter of Sterling Lieutenant Garrett Ramos, who died fighting a house fire in Rock Falls in December of 2021. The jury found that former Rock Falls Fire Chief Chris Bowens and current Chief Ken Wolf, each 50% responsible for Roman's death. And basically, Roman fell through a hole in an unknown basement while fighting the blaze, issued 2 Mayday calls on the command officers heard but couldn't identify or locate where he was. Here's the tragic part. Well, it's all tragic, but he survived 17 minutes in the basement before dying from asphyxiation. So, and I didn't know this until I read this article, that obviously if the homeowners have to tell you, is there a basement in the house? You're going to go in there and then the wall, the floors are burning. Is there a possibility that one of our firemen might fall down through? And then he didn't check that out. And then my understanding, he didn't check that out. And then once he was trapped down there was a miscommunication and it ends up dying that way.
In the basement.
Yeah.
There was a lower level.
Yeah. And he fell through, I guess. My understanding of this article here And there was a couple procedures that weren't covered before that, and concerning that, it's just really just tragic. And then, that the life is lost and the opportunity to be able to save him at one point, but unable to do so. And, $31 million, I'm sure to the widow, it means nothing at all. I mean, it's just a number. It's just like, what, how is that going to help me get my husband back? But that's tough, though. But did you remember that story? I missed that story. No,
I don't. It must have been an old house or something because when you're in a house in the basement, that's rock bottom, with the exception of the sump pump.
But he fell through from the first floor to the basement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was what there lies the rub there. Yeah. And somebody should have been aware that he was in there, and then of course he sent the Mayday call and then never got him. So, all right, what do you have? Something lighter than that? Help.
City of DeKalb announced the dormant gas station at the corner of Hillcrest and North First. That's being redeveloped to make room for a new convenience store. A social media post from the city says the underground fuel tanks are being removed.
So it's not going to be a gas station. Okay.
Correct. Yep. So there's oversight by the Illinois Fire Marshal's office. And that the new project will commence once the tanks are removed.
I never understood why that location didn't work. I get my gas right across the street from there at the Circle K, and I think it's Circle K now. But it's same, not a different gas station, but same corner, and you get almost the same traffic flow. Why I don't know why I haven't been able to make it to then. But all these little stores now, if you think about where this one's going to open, if you go right over to that little strip mall where the smoke shop is, there's another little store right there that they just opened.
A convenience store?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little mom and pop operation over there too, as well.
Bowden's is there.
And Bowden's is right across the street.
Which is a big draw.
Yeah.
That's a kind of a treasure in this town.
It is. Now, maybe I don't know what their logic is. I'm sure they did some studies as to how well a convenience store might do there, but we wish them the best. In fact, coming up a little bit later on, we're going to go through all the number of businesses that closed in DeKalb, and twice as many have opened. So that's good news for DeKalb that they got. Now, I didn't know about this. The village of Bradley in Kankakee County will soon open a new $90 million water park, and the toy maker Mattel has signed on to be the title brand. You know about water parks? I didn't know there's a title brand, but it's a 2-acre indoor water park.
Indoor?
That? Yeah. $90 million. It's going to be at the Northfield Square Mall. Now, will you take the kids there? I worry about the cleanliness of the water parks because we know what goes on with kids in the water, and we got hundreds of them, and oh my God.
Well, I remember going on the log rides at Great America.
Okay.
It was fun, but
I mean, in the water, swimming, where there's other people doing other things. South Park did it really. If you ever watch South Park, they did a really intense episode about that. The amount of urine that might be in a pool at any given time.
A public
pool. And this is a public. This is a $90 million water park, so you have a lot of people sharing a lot of water. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, I mean, who's paying for that? Is that a private?
Private, yeah.
Okay.
$90 million. So that's it. A little bit. Like, of course, Mattel. We know Mattel has nothing but money there. So, and then another one at number 6 was Texas lawmakers caused a bomb threat in King County. That was when that craziness when the lawmakers from Texas came here to hide so they wouldn't have to vote. Apparently, 2 bomb threats were made in a span of a couple days where they were staying at the Q Center. Texas state lawmakers were hiding out of the Q Center in what was ultimately a failed attempt to avoid voting to redraw congressional boundaries. Those Texans were believed to have been the target of a bomb threat that was called into the Q Center. Turned out to be a hoax there.
Okay.
So, remember that madness and the ironic irony of Pritzker saying, oh my God, it's so wrong that they're gerrymandering the maps in Texas, and then we have the most gerrymandered map in the country. So
yeah, that is pretty rich.
That is pretty rich.
Illinois' governor. Yep.
All right, what do you got?
A state story, speaking of Pritzker, Illinois Department of Healthcare and Family Services says it's spending $4 million to pay for Planned Parenthood's family planning programs. According to the agency, the spending will pay for contraception, sexually transmitted infection treatment, and cancer screenings in order to counteract the federal defunding of Planned Parenthood. Now, according to HFS, abortions are not paid for with federal tax dollars. They are paid for with Illinois tax dollars.
Hmm.
So that's a big industry in Illinois.
Oh, I know. It's very well. It's where all the neighboring states. You have to come here. It's like what do they call that? Medical tourism. They call that.
Oh, okay.
And then there's people going to other countries to get Botox injections and butt lifts. They'll go to Mexico and pay a third of what they pay, but God knows what they're getting. It's like, and you hear cases all the time about people with the bad medical there. This is an interesting one to finish up our top 10. We only did the top 7. Northern Illinois counties struggle to regulate rodeos amid animal abuse allegations. Now, they regulate the Mexican-style rodeos, showing the group is called Shark, showing animals respect and kindness. Documented abuses, including broken bones, severed tails, and beating at local events. The main controversy centers on steer tailing. Are you down with the steer tailing, Dan?
Don't know what that is.
When a rider grabs a runner's steer tail and slams it to the ground, which is banned in other states. And it goes on to explain that the guy from Shark actually got in trouble for making false 911 calls about the animals being abused. But Will County convicted 2 participants of animal cruelty, while Boone County passed specific ordinance banning harmful practices. So I guess this is a state problem here. Have you been to a rodeo? When I was living in Ogallala, Nebraska, I went to one out there, and I remember the barrel racing. The girl I was dating actually did the barrel racing, but I don't remember any animals being abused per se. The tackling.
I went to a lot of rodeos when I lived west of the Rockies.
Oh, yeah.
And there were protesters there.
Really?
Every year.
Okay. We had a fishing tournament out here at the Rotary Park out here, and all the kids were out there to fish, and the guys in the parking lot handing out flyers. Well, it was fish have feelings too. He was protesting the fishing. I was saying that fish had feelings, and he was handing out those flyers to people. So to each his own, right? I mean, you want to protect the fish, that's fine. But
I got a question
classic.
for you, TD.
Yes.
You're a few years older than me.
Yes.
So our country turned 200 in 1976. I remember going to a party when I was 4. I think it was up in Barrington or something, and it was a big deal.
Uh-huh.
So now, 2026, I was reading, I think some fast food joint has a Patriot Shake for $2.50.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember July 4th, 1976?
I don't remember specifically, but I remember all the hoopla. I remember the tall ships. I remember going down to Lake Michigan. They had a tall ship that came in. We went down and saw that. It was so cool. But
okay.
I was 16 at the time, so I had no, at that age, you have no sense of history or caring about that. And it was ironic because it's right when I got taught by Mr. Hill my junior year at high school and turned me on to history, and I would have been so much more into it. And so amazing for me now. I'm an old person now. I can say, yeah, I was back there in 1976. I was there for that one.
And there was a quarter. There was a bicentennial.
Yeah, bicentennial quarters. I have them all. There was a whole series of quarters that they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But I didn't appreciate it as much as I should have back then. Because we're still such a young country. I mean, 250 years. That's nothing. It's like.
yeah.
And they talk about experiment in democracy, and so many things could go wrong. When we start challenging elections, I'm not going to go off on a tirade here, but you lose. If you don't have any faith in the elections, that's why I said. By the way, next Monday, you'll hear an interview with Charlie Kim, who's running for the U.S. Representative of District 11 against Underwood. He's a Republican. But pointing out that what was I talking about? Forget what I was talking about.
Challenging elections?
Challenging elections, yeah, because he believes that he's a Republican, that the 2020 election was rigged. So I asked him, and people will get to hear the podcast. I go, well, if you believe that election was rigged, what are you doing running for office now? If you have no faith in the election system, and he wobbled and weaseled around that one. But
okay, I didn't know he was running. He ran last time.
Yeah. And he lost big, and now he only had 6% of the vote, but he said he got in late, and he had several reasons why that happened. And matter of fact, 2 of his challengers right now are being challenged.
Is that Jim Martyr is running?
No, Martyr's running against, but the other terrible, I forget the woman's name, it begins with a T, but they're challenging. I think they're signing petitions.
Okay.
So that we'll keep up with that one. So we got some more political interviews coming up. As a matter of fact, we got the 2 we'll tell you about there in the community calendar. We got the only county seat that has a run for the Republican side, the Democratic side, county seat district number 5. That's the only one where 2 Democratic candidates, Daniel Viltenberg and Devon Wilcox. So we're going to try to interview both of them but that's the only one contested here in the primaries coming up.
Okay, that's for DeKalb County Board.
Right, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so what do you got? Now, I got here's, I was every article, these are businesses that closed in 2025 and businesses that opened in 2025 in DeKalb we're talking about, and it's twice as many that opened. Etsy, didn't even know about this. A girls' clothing store in Oakland Plaza and shopping center closed.
Okay.
They were trying to get the young girls' fashion market,
Got it.
but didn't make it. So we sorry that Etsy had to go bye-bye. Lovers Playground, which was the Grotto, when I moved to town in 2020 or 2001.
Wow.
Can you believe they survived that long? An adult thing. I think you pointed out the fact that it was right in the heart of downtown.
Well, that was what was astounding. You know,
Yeah.
you usually see those out on near the interstate.
Yeah,
Outside of
by
town.
the truck stop. Yeah.
Or the edge of town. Or you don't see it right on the main drag
No.
of a town.
No, but they stuck in there for a long time. So we say goodbye to Lovers Playground, Hidden Treasures and Gifts More. That's used stuff. That's such a hard business to be in. I don't know. So they stuck around for a while, but they weren't able to make it. And then finally, Noodles and Company. I don't know if you ever ate there. It just always looked kind of dirty to me. I don't know that little corner shop there on the by Target.
I when I was in Denver, I'd go to Noodles and Company, and I enjoyed it, and it was garlic noodles, and
We
I
could
enjoyed it. I
help
went to
with
that one.
We did the math and figured out how much this cost must be as opposed, a bowl of noodles, ramen costs you almost nothing,
True.
So their markup has got to be incredible.
And I don't know what they put in it, MSG or whatever, but it tasted good. Because I went to that one in DeKalb a couple of times. It was right by our studios.
Oh, yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
So.
Okay. All right. So they didn't make it. And Advanced Auto Parts didn't make it as well. They were also right by our studios there, 2151 Sycamore Road.
Yeah.
And it's been since subdivided into 3 shops. So that's what's closed. But then you look at what opened, and there's a whole bunch that opened. We'll just quickly go through. In India Pizzeria, that's where the, Eduardo's used to be. So that's right in the heart of downtown DeKalb.
Okay, yeah.
So nice to see that building occupied.
I have not been there, and I love pizza.
Allegory Decorations and Design opened DeKalb this fall. A special curated collection of decor and design essentials. I wish them the best, but man, that's a tough, because who's your clientele there? I mean, you got to have some big hitters there. See, to me, that's more of a St. Charles or
This is home decor.
yeah,
Okay.
like high-end home decor. So,
Got it.
But we wish them the best. Florentino's Chart House, we went there. That's really good. That's where Johnny's, it's been a couple different things. But we wish them the best. This is the one I want to get to. Mr. Willie's Dark Art and Oddities. And I'm like, what do they sell there? Including uranium jewelry. Are you down with the uranium jewelry? Various animal bone collections, older medical specimens. Now, can you imagine? First of all, buying, but look, keeping those in stock? I don't even want to know what he has
I don't know
for
what that.
older medical specimens. Funko Pops, action figures, I'm not sure what that is. And then metaphysical supplies as well. So, kind of a, now this is a niche
Like
store.
crystals?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know what that, I know about uranium jewelry. It sounds dangerous. I don't think I want to wear any uranium jewelry.
I don't know. It sounds like a guy who would wear clogs and what did you wear?
I was
What did
that
you wear?
guy, yes, and bib overalls. Seemed like a good idea at the time. Iron Lab Gym, we mentioned that the other day about folks from Elgin opening a gym here. Barb City Furniture, I wish them the best. We ended up going over to that little joint over there on Lincoln Highway? The name eludes me right now.
Curly's?
Curly's, yeah. Becky and I
Yeah.
went there, and we found a couple lamps and a table that we needed.
Now, where's Barb City?
This is where the, where that, the Halloween store, what do they call that? The spirit store?
Spirit Halloween.
That's
there
what
was
they
there was a furniture store back there. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Because there were about 8 mattress stores in that vicinity.
How we had so many mattress stores, I'll never understand that. Now, we were just talking about the little mini marts. Here's an uptown mini mart that's opened up where that Italian restaurant used to be. Now, they might do some business because that's over there where the kids live, 1215 Blackhawk Road. It's an offshoot of DeKalb Food Mart, another local establishment run and operated. Oh, they own the same place. It's because they're competing against each other. But I think that area needs, right? They need a little supermarket there. He's going to have fresh produce and stuff. That'll be great for the folks that live in that area. Also, we have McCabe's. Now, I just love that building since I moved into town. And
Okay.
Have you been in there? Have you ever?
No, is that a nightclub now?
Well, I know they had it open for a party. The log vacant nightclub McCabe's building that reopened after a roughly $1.1 million overhaul as a venue for events and other gatherings. Yes, so it's not open on a regular basis, but what a cool looking building, man. And
So,
I guess
like-
there's the dance floor up on the second, like on the top floor up there, and
So you could have a wedding reception there?
yeah.
Okay.
But now back in your glory days, you didn't find yourself having a pop there at.
Oh, I did. Yes, I went to McCabe's.
Oh, you did? Okay, all right.
Yeah. No, I got left there one night.
And they had dancing there. I was like a dance club. as well?
Big play. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There was dancing and
Carousing.
a lot of college kids. I mean, DeKalb had a nightlife.
Now, where do they park? Because everybody's bringing that up. You know, McCabe's has no parking lot. There's no. Was that an issue? Remember back then?
I remember parking on a side street.
Okay.
Or
Sure.
if you went to Andy's Tap, because that was right
Next door.
by
yeah.
there. And, one guy would drive, and there was like 13 guys in a car.
I love it. Rosie's Nail and Spa has opened, and so has Dream Nails. So you got the women continue. I don't want to say the women, but they mostly the ones. I had one manicure in my lifetime, and you ever get a manicure?
No, but I'm sure Caleb Williams has.
Oh yeah, yes. Oh, I was in the Jewel just now today. Got K. Williams sweatshirts ready to check out. You know,
He's Johnny Unitas.
he's Johnny Unitas. Taco Verse opened up a new taco restaurant there, right across from the police station, 701 Lincoln Highway.
Yep.
iMart Express, a new iStore opened up as well. And then we have Big O's Barbecue at 930 Pappas Drive. We wish Big O all the
That
best.
sounds good.
And then Candy Cloud, a specialty drink spot in Northland Plaza Shopping Center. Are you down with the Candy Cloud? Coffee to boba tea, other sweet treats, including cake pops and donuts.
Sounds really good.
It does sound really good right now.
You know.
And then Skechers. I don't want to support Skechers because I hate the people. I hate Tony Romo, and I hate all the people that do the commercials for him. And the guy whose voice is like this for the Skechers. But they opened a store here.
Really?
Yeah, 2371 Sycamore Road in the Oakland Plaza. Have you worn the Skechers? Have you given in to not tying your shoes and just stepping into them? And
I bought a pair of Skechers once, and they fell apart
good.
pretty quickly. Yeah.
all right, then we have Brothers Country Supply, a country supply store, and Redemption Vault, a shop dedicated to pop culture events, celebrity signings, in-store events, collectibles, and more, aimed to foster a space where fandom can rejoice. You know, what freaked me out when Taylor Swift came to town and they opened up the area the day before so people could go buy merchandise. It was like you had to get in to go and to buy merchandise. It was like, and thousands of people did that. It's like,
Where was that?
down when Taylor Swift was here in Chicago. They had
Okay.
like 2 or 3 days before, they had a big area opened up where they sold her merchandise.
Yeah.
And people went and did that. Now, you told me a great story about you being at, I think, a Rolling Stone concert. You bought a $30 Rolling Stone T-shirt. Is
I
that what it
paid
was?
$38 for
$38.
a baseball cap with the
baseball cap.
lips, their signature
Right,
logo.
right. Which probably worth a fortune right now, actually.
And TD, I was in. I remember turning around and Ronnie Woo Woo was walking down the corridor, and he had a girl on each arm.
Roddy, is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, we're pressed for time. I do want to mention a couple new laws. One is hotel soaps. They're fading, and that makes a lot of sense too. All the little soaps that
Yeah.
Becky used to travel a lot. She'd bring in, and we're never going to use all the shampoo bottles that we have. I think a lot of people have that. But this one I found interesting: time off to pump breast milk. Senate Bill 212 mandates employees to compensate mothers who take breaks at work to pump breast milk for up to a year after their child is born. The bill prohibits employers from requiring employees to use paid leave time for pumping. So, you got 6 kids. Maria, would she be down with that? Does she like the idea that
Yeah, because I think in the 70s, everyone was on formula. All the kids were drinking. But in the 90s, I think there was a trend back
It switched
to
back, okay.
breastfeeding.
Yeah, I know, because you don't hear formula advertised much anymore. That's a great point. All right, we have our community calendar. Going to get a brief look at that. That's brought to our friends at Stagecoach Players Theater. Go to stagecoachplayers.com. We have a couple things coming up. The Sycamore Winter Farmers Market is this Sunday. Also, a screening of the movie The Invisible Mammal will be at the Egyptian Theater on the 4th of January. And then, what do we got here? Are you ready for it? Speaking of Taylor Swift, on January 10th, 7:30 p.m., are you ready for it? A Taylor Experience with a Taylor Swift tribute band there. So.
Oh,
And why not? Boy, you got all these teenagers, girls just waiting to spend money. Throw together a Taylor Swift tribute.
that's the draw.
There you go. Yeah. We're going to talk to our friends at Sullivan's as they celebrate 80 years last year. I've been meaning to get them here on the podcast. We're looking forward to doing that. And that's about it. Warming Center, Art Gallery, all this stuff. The community calendar. Again, we thank our friends from Stagecoach Players for sponsoring that. And a quick look at sports tells us that the DeKalb Barbs will not repeat as champions for the Chuck Dayton tournament as they lost in the semifinals there. Tough break there. But we will be hearing from Cole Latimer 2 weeks from today on our podcast number 36, I believe it is. Cole is going to play Division I football and Division I baseball at Northern Illinois University. And I looked it up, Dan. There's a handful of players that have done that, especially now in high school. They you specialize in one sport. And to see Davon Grant, who's going to go play football at the University of Illinois, and Cole Latimer, Cole's playing two sports on a Division I level. You talk about time management.
True.
Plus he's going to go to school. By the way, he's going to school at the same time as well. So it was really interesting talking to Cole, how he was recruited, by the baseball team and by the football team. And the football coach and the baseball coach here in NIU said, well, there's no reason why the boy can't play both. And so that was one of the few Division I schools that offered him that chance to play both sports, So,
Okay.
But how great is that? And plus he's from DeKalb,
Yeah.
So you're playing at the university in your town, and you're playing two sports. So I think it's going to get a lot more fannies in the seats because, the people just don't show up for the NIU football games. And I think having Cole, possibly as quarterback, maybe another position, would certainly. Remember Cole Tucker? You remember a young man named Cole Tucker who he brought fannies in the seats there, too. And he went and played in the Canadian Football League. So who knows what these two guys might do.
Sports in the USA, it's big money. You
We
can make money.
We talked to Cole about the imaging and what do they call that? Imaging likeness, IIL or whatever that is. And there's a lot of ways you can make money. You can. Are you the one who told me that the punter from Notre Dame has made thousands of dollars just calling people? I guess you call and let's say you're a big Notre Dame fan. I'm your son. I'll buy you 2 minutes to talk with the punter from Notre Dame for $100, whatever it is. And
really?
He calls him and he talks. BS's with him for a while and
Okay.
and makes a lot of money. So and Cole locally here in DeKalb have a local boy do well.
It's
The
better-
marketing possibilities are limited.
It's better than gambling.
Yeah, it is. Well, I want to thank our friends at DeKalb County History Center. They're one of our sponsors as well. They always send us a different this day in history than what you see in the midweek every week. On the 3rd of January, 1840, an act was passed by the legislature to permanently locate the seat of justice for the DeKalb County of DeKalb. In the election following in August, voters favored the removal of the county seat from the town of Coltonville. And at the same time, voters chose Sycamore to be the permanent county seat. And there was always a big controversy. DeKalb and Sycamore. DeKalb wanted it as well. And I guess Haitian, some of the guys offered to build a brand new courthouse and stuff, but Sycamore ultimately got the courthouse there. Though it existed in some form in 1900, Northern Illinois State Teachers College, of course NIU, was legally incorporated in January 1936. The next year, it hired its first executive secretary and established the official campus office, as well as creating the Alumni Scholarship Fund. And speaking of our bicentennial year, in 1976, in January, 3-cent stamps. You wonder why the post office is desperately losing money. Back, 3-cent stamps were going like hotcakes. The stamps' popularity began last week when the mailing rate went up 13 cents for a stamp. The DeKalb Postmaster Richard Silverman said that they had sufficient supply of 3-cent stamps for people to put onto envelopes with the existing supply of 10-cent stamps to make up the difference. An emergency order of more stamps has been made. So people were panic buying stamps at one point when they raised that up too. But, Becky takes advantage of a lot of the free mailing that they have going on. And, there's no wonder why the post office ain't making any money. I don't know why it's taking the same thing with Amtrak.
Yeah.
Never can get that together. We should be able to make money with this. And
Yeah, and now you have deliveries on Saturdays and Sundays.
right, yeah. It's amazing. And, of course, let's do a news quiz. We'll kind of wrap things up with that. I don't have any birthday. I forgot to ask people for birthdays for January, so we'll do that too. But let's do a news quiz. And I know, basically, Dan, we just wanted to thank everybody, again, not only our sponsors, but Elder Care Citizens. I think I forgot to mention them. But the fact that we've been able to do this has been great. I want to thank the DeKalb Library as well, because when I found out they had a studio here, and I didn't know how much interested you were still doing, want to do, both of us contemplating getting back in the radio, but you would have had to travel more, and I would have the same thing with me. And I'm a little older than you, like you said, so I was like, I guess I'll hang up my radio career at this point, but to be able to keep it going with these podcasts has been great.
Yeah.
So,
I would have had to sell my house to take that other job, and I have a 3% rate right now, mortgage rate, and I wouldn't relinquish that. So.
well, the thing I find most exciting is that your kids love to live in DeKalb, and you said that they'd like to stay. And that, for me, living in DeKalb, when I first moved here, God, there was so much negativity. Everybody was complaining about this, complaining about that. You don't like this in DeKalb, you don't like that in DeKalb. Remember, there were wires that they had all through the town. There was a big controversy whether they should bury the wires or not to make the town look better. But to see how many people, and now I've interviewed several people, including Cole and kids that grew up in DeKalb and want to stay here, it's really encouraging to hear that.
Well, the people here are 24 karat gold. I mean, every town I've lived in, the natives complain about their town. My kids are on the wrestling team, and they have a lot of friends here. So I don't want to uproot that.
No, that's great. That's a beautiful thing. And of course, you go to the Newman Center over there. If you don't mind me saying that, I think that's great that you found your church and the good people.
Yeah, and they serve. They're altar boys, and they got a lot of buddies.
Don't volunteer them for 6 o'clock mass like my grandmother did. So not only did I have to do 6 o'clock mass all week, but I had to sleep in grandma's room to get up in time to go to church at times. Or you got a news quiz, lay a news quiz. Well, you probably want to know something, don't you?
What are you giving away?
Well, it's funny you ask because we have count them two now. Gift certificates to Pizza Villa, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, and more. I want to thank John Finn over there, just a tremendous individual for supporting us through. We started this in April 1st, so we've been doing this about 8 months. I want to thank Ralph's Full Service Car Wash. We have got a deluxe car wash from Ralph's, again, a $35 value. When you play the radio news quiz, or when you play the podcast quiz program thing.
A local state senator is pushing legislation in Springfield designed to protect minors from chatbots and social media algorithms that she says are designed to get them addicted to online platforms. So which legislator is that?
All right, you can tell us that. Contact us at talkwithtdryan, talkwithtdryan@gmail.com, talkwithtdryan@gmail.com. Again, thanks to all our listeners, and most importantly, people want to thank is our listeners. And, of course, my two nephews, Michael Davis and Ethan Davis, have done a tremendous job of getting this. Dan and I almost didn't get this out of here today because I don't know how any of this equipment works, but we thank everybody so much. Dan, I want to thank you again for helping us out here and being the oak tree of the news department here on the news podcast.
And happy 250th birthday to the USA.
All right, there we go.
I guess it's not till July.
Right. Yes, well, we can start early. And that's TD Ryan News Podcast number 29.